Everybody, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. TammyTalks here. Let's talk Married at First Sight, Season 15, San Diego, Episode 16. This isn't Best Friends at First Sight. If you're brand new to my channel, I do breakdowns on various TV shows, both scripted and reality, interjecting my own thoughts, opinions, and theories into each and every recap. So, if you enjoy that type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel, thumbsing up the video. If you enjoyed this type of content, share it with a friend. Okay, share it with a family member, and then hop into the comment section so we can talk about everything that happened on tonight's episode. One video tonight, folks. One video. I'm going to do the recap in order as it appeared on the show. So let's get started. So starts off with Mitch. So Mitch is hanging out with his nieces. We know he loves his nieces. He talks about how close he is with them. He's asking his nieces, what should Uncle Mitch do on Decision Day? One niece says that he should, am I in focus? Yes. Okay. One niece said that he should say yes. The other says that he should say no. So, I mean, it doesn't help, but it was a cute enough scene just for now. So then we have Justin. Justin is for some reason eating up food, chewing up food, and then giving it to Mr. Newton. I don't want to know what was going on in that scene, but that's what we saw. We pan over to Stasha. Stasha is saying that she doesn't know if they can have conversations without triggering Nate's insecurities. And see, I know a lot of people are going to come down on Stasha this episode, but I feel like when she said that statement, that's a very real statement. We see so many times, and we even hear Nate say at the end of the episode that she is a trigger. She is triggering his insecurities. No. No. We're going to get into that though. So we have Kristen and Mitch. So she's making a face mask for them to both use. And we get this cute scene of them putting the face mask on one another. She then said, would it be weird if they had sexy time with face masks? Can I just say how much I hate when adults use sexy time? It's cringy. Just say sex. Just say sex. It doesn't have to be sexy time. It's just, I don't know. Something about sexy time just feels so immature to me. I don't like it. I don't like it. Mitch said he looked up what body meant. B-A-W-D-Y. And he said that it means you're humorous about sex. Not in the Urban Dictionary, it don't. I don't know what dictionary Mitch used, but it wasn't the Urban Dictionary. It's not the dictionary that we know, okay? That's not what body means. Don't go back and tell nobody that that's what body means, okay? Because they're going to laugh at you. So he says in his confessional that he still has doubts about them being the right match. I feel like if you are 3 days out and you still have doubts, don't say yes on decision day. That's how I just feel like if you're still having doubts 3 days out, don't say yes on decision day because that's not what you want. So we see Stasha. So she meets up with a friend of hers, and she's saying that married life has been difficult for her. She said that Nate is scared to live with her because if something happens, he's not going to have a place to go. And her friend was like, well, that's not going to happen. You know, we want you guys to stay together. Stasha's like, yes, we want, I don't know what else to tell him. So her friend says to just keep reassuring him that that's not going to happen. Now, the thing with that is Stasha can tell that man till the cows come home, up and down and all around, that she is never going to kick him out. But until she is put into that situation and has to deal with that head on, she doesn't know what she's going to do. Nate has a very real fear of that, but it's also like you're a grown man. You make $150,000 a year, which I know is not a lot in California, but you will go get another apartment. The fact that Nate's like, I'm going to be homeless. That can happen if y'all buy a house together and you and your wife divorce. Somebody's going to move out at some point. So I just feel like Nate harping on that is annoying. Stasha thinks that they have very similar mannerisms and personalities, but she said he lacks experience in life and in relationships. And she feels that she's a bit ahead of him, not like he's behind her, but just in the experience meter, she's a little more advanced than he is. So she's concerned that because he's never been in love. And her friend was like, but didn't he live with somebody for 2 years? She said yes, and they were never in love. So she's worried about Nate doing that with her. She doesn't want to look up 2 years later, and now that they have a kid and they're living in this house and they've started to build a life together, and he still doesn't love her. Her biggest fear is being in a loveless marriage. And while I get what she's saying, it's been 2 months. It's like certain, for people like Stasha who need to have that love meter to move forward, this is not the show for you. And it's very disheartening that Stasha came onto this show expecting to like bully somebody into saying that they love her and using that as like an ultimatum basis for them to stay, for her to say yes on decision day. It's unfortunate that that's how she chose to approach the experience. Nate is talking to his dad, and was that his sister? Was that his friend? He was talking to his dad and another young lady who was in the car with somebody else that was driving. It was a lot going on that FaceTime. So he said that moving out and moving in together is his vulnerability. He doesn't want to not have a place to live if it doesn't work out. His dad was like, things are not going to go perfectly the way that you want all the time. You know, if that happens, then it happens. Nathan said that his next biggest issue is that she's 37 years old, so she wants kids right away. The friend or sister, because y'all are going to correct me down below, the young lady, we'll do it that way. The young lady in the video said that, do you not want kids? He was like, I do, but she wants to have fun. He was like, you can't have fun with a 2-year-old. And his dad was like, you can absolutely have fun while you still have kids. So then Nate was like, okay, cool. I didn't know you could. I didn't know you could do that. Nate does not like her. I don't think that Nate wants to be in a marriage with her. I think that Nate likes Stasha well enough to be like a girlfriend or something like that. But if they were just a regular couple, Nate would not be thinking about proposing to Stasha. Nate feels that, before he has kids, he wants to be more financially ready. He wants to be, like he has all these different goal markers that he has for himself, which is perfectly fine. But when you come onto a show like this, you have to be willing and able, and flexible enough to move these goalposts, to move these standards that you set for yourself, these goals that you've set for yourself to accommodate your spouse. And that's something that neither Nate or Stasha seem willing to do. So he goes on to say that he does not want to be pressured into doing something until he is mentally ready. Basically, I don't want to be pressured into having a kid with you. I don't want to be pressured into saying I love you until I'm ready. So he's expecting Stasha to sit back and wait for him to get to that moment, whereas she's like, decision day, I need to know these things because I need to know whether I need to say yes or no Tuesday, basically. So we have Lindy. Lindy is FaceTiming with herself. Her sister looks just like her, just with darker hair. So she said that they have a lot of miscommunication in their relationship as of lately. Tells her sister her sister gets distracted because her sister was like, you gonna hear the babies crying? Her husband, I think said Michael, her husband got to work that out, so whatever. While Lindy's talking, her sister blatantly is like looking over here, talking to somebody else. I said, oh, so y'all whole family is rude. That's why Lindy don't think it's an issue, because everybody in her family probably do that. So Lindy tells her sister, don't do that in front of Miguel. Like, he gets, like, he's offended by that. She's like, so we were out at, a winery or at a vineyard, and someone was taking pictures, and I was like, oh, an iPhone. And he was offended by that because it was rude, Lindy. And what's alarming is the fact that Lindy doesn't understand why it's rude, or she just doesn't care why Miguel did think it was rude. Both are an issue. Both are an issue. So her sister basically tells her that, I don't have no advice for you. This is something that you guys have to kind of work out. Lindy still feels like she is offending him. And when she offends him, he stonewalls her and he shuts down, which is very frustrating to deal with. Nobody should ever deal with somebody doing that to them. Like, I feel like stonewalling and ghosting are so immature. So her sister said, you guys have to find middle ground. Okay, figure out who needs the most care at that time, and that's where the other person should pivot. She goes on to get deep and say, she said, "Ooh, there's a lot going on here." I said, "You got issues in your marriage too, sister? What's going on?" So she said that when you're in a marriage, you're in a partnership, and it's going to take both of you to keep that ship afloat. Even when the other one might not be pulling their weight, it's up to you to kind of make that work. It's both of you in this marriage. Now they're both crying. I said. So then Lindy said that it's problem after problem after problem, and it's getting overwhelming. It's been overwhelming to watch too, Lindy, in case you were wondering. It's been overwhelming to watch because we don't know who's more annoying, you or Miguel. We get Kristen. Kristen meets up with her friend. She said that she's finally at peace and is calm. And it's like, Kristen, are you though? Or are you settling and desperate? So she says she's gotten everything off of her chest and she just needs a little bit more time to decide if they should continue or not. Kristen's desperation is so disheartening. It is extremely, extremely disheartening. Kristen is somebody who came into this very vibrant, very full of life. We have watched Mitch beat this woman down, not even on purpose. He's not purposely doing it. He's being his typical abrasive, cynical, pessimistic self. But it is extremely hard to watch this woman claw and beg and scream for his attention, for his adoration, for his affirmation. It's like, Kristen, where is your shame? Where is your shame? I cringe at her scenes, and I like Kristen, but watching this woman basically beg this half bald-headed man for affection every single episode is tiring. It's tiring, Kristen. You can do better than this. You are better than this. It's sad to watch. It honestly and truly is. It's sad to watch. So she said that Mitch has her craving any type of validation from him right now. Any type. She'll take the smallest morsel. She wants Mitch to ask her to say yes. She wants a grand gesture, and she wants that to be in the form of something verbal, if you will. She wants to hear everything he likes about her. She wants the marriage to be kind of summed up for him to where he basically is saying, Kristen, please stay with me. I really want you to say yes. Mitch is not going to do that, and she knows it. So it's like either Kristen is setting the goalpost so far that she knows it's unattainable. That it's unattainable to Mitch, or this woman is just that desperate. So she said that the marriage is not what she thought it was going to be. Of course not. He told you he didn't like you on your honeymoon. Then her friend is asked if she has the time to give him to not only change, but prove that he has changed. But then it becomes, what if we stay married and he still never changes? That's a chance that you guys have to be willing to take. Kristen, just say no. I really want Kristen to say no. I really want Kristen to say no. Justin FaceTimes his mother. Tells her that he gave away Maya. Said that he was under the assumption that giving away Maya was an automatic yes. Now, that's where Justin went wrong. Did you ask Alexis, was this an automatic yes? You should have told Alexis, if I give away my dog, we staying married. That's what you should have did. You should have been Ike Turner. No, that's a bad example. I don't mean like, physically, but I mean like you should have put your foot down and said, if I get rid of my dog, you need to tell me right now and swear on everything that you are saying yes, that we are going to work towards saving our marriage, working on our marriage. We're going to give this a try. And since Justin didn't do that, he should have never assumed. What about Alexis that made you think that you can trust her? So he said that he just wants her to tell him if she's going to say no. That's going to take all the fun out of decision day, Justin. I just kind of feel like if you're feeling and thinking she might say no on decision day, then she is. If you're not 100% sure that that person is going to say yes, then you should have never gave your dog away. Never gave your dog away. He said that he might just be all in his head. His mom said, well, you've always done that. You've always been so far in your head that you can't see everything else that's going on around you. So Justin said he just wants his wife to desire him. He wants to be desired by his wife. He said Alexis is the type of woman that wants to be dominated in the bedroom. He's more reserved. Sometimes she wants him to jump her bones, or she wants her to jump his bones. And his mom was like, so you ain't freaky? And that's when I stopped listening, because for me the conversation was inappropriate. After that, not a conversation y'all should be having. So we get Alexis. She's FaceTiming with her mom. Her mom asks if this is the man that you are looking for. Alexis goes on to say that Justin is a great man, but she's torn. So Justin is just in his head so much, he doesn't invite her in. And since he doesn't invite her in when he gets in those moods, that she doesn't know how to comfort him. So then it ends up turning into him either blowing up or shutting down. And that's challenging for her. She said that right now, all the issues that they have will be heightened once they get out the safety bubble of the cameras and the experts and all of that type of stuff. So she's wondering, how is the relationship, how is the marriage going to go once they're out of the confines of this neutral zone and, they're into real life. Because I tell people that, once these couples get out of the bubble of the cameras are here and all that other type of stuff, that's when the real deal people come out. That's when the representative is gone. And that's when a lot of the issues in these marriages start to bubble up. So her mother said, well, look, don't stay because you typically run. So don't stay to try to prove people wrong and try to prove that you are not the track star that you like to gloat and, praise yourself for being. So look deep into your heart and figure out if this is honestly and truly the man for you and the man that you want to be with. And that's really all Alexis has to do. If you know deep down that Justin is not the man for you, say no, cut your ties, cut your losses, and let him go. Don't drag this man along. So we pan over to Mitch. So Mitch is meeting up with his brother. And I'm sorry, but his brother's lisp was sending me. I can't do it. So he said that he is finally relaxed, Kristen is finally relaxed and she's being herself. They threw the flashback to the weekend when she's dancing and telling jokes and laughing and impersonating him. And that is the Kristen that he is the most attracted to. So he said they had this great weekend. that night he had to drive up to that work conference. So when he drove up for the work conference, he said that he got back to his normal life. He got back to single Mitch. And it's hard for him to envision his life with Kristen because he's not doing what his life is typically like now. He's saying how he hasn't been able to surf. Typically he surfs 3 or 4 times a week. He hasn't rode his bike. He has to clean up. He likes to cook and leave shit all over the stove. He can't do that. He has to rinse out the tub. Because Kristen's not going to get in the tub when it's full of dirt. I have not forgotten how filthy Mitch's apartment was. So his brother asked him, do you think it can work? And Mitch said, sure. I think it could work. I think I can be myself. She can be herself. And we can still build this life together. He loves her. He has all this affection for her. But he is not in love with her. He's just not. So his brother said, well, do you enjoy being with her? Like, do you guys, like when you're riding in the car, when you're hanging out at home, do you just have fun being together? And Mitch was like, yes, we do. He said, we have a good partnership. So his brother says that, I think you're taking the word partnership and you don't really understand how rare that is for people to find. So Mitch said that the yes that he can give her is not going to be as emphatic as the one that she's going to want or feel that she deserves. So his brother said, look, see if she'll take a less emphatic yes, okay? If you promise to keep working at it, if you promise to make her feel like the relationship is worth trying and worth continuing. Like, he's basically saying sell it. Sell yourself. Don't just go in there and be like, yeah, I like you, but it's whatever. Because that's how Mitch is. So his brother is like, sell it. Sell her. Tell her that even though you are not in love with her yet, that it's worth still exploring. And then, who knows? You might get to that in the near future. So the group goes on this like go-karting adventure through the streets. It made me so nervous because them go-karts look little. They in the street with regular size cars. So Alexis and Justin had an electric car that she was driving and she was whipping the shit out of. They were going so fast. They didn't have on no helmets or nothing. I was nervous for them. So Nate said in his confessional that it's a lot of emotions for him. He has to think about spending his life, his forever, with a stranger that he barely knows. And again, it's mind-boggling that they're just now having this realization when you signed up for a show called Married at First Sight. The entire premise is marrying somebody you don't know. So the group is all sitting around together. Mitch has a burger. He offers Kristen a bite of it, and she said, no. I've had the meat sweats. I've been eating a lot of meat. You know what? How about a salad? Okay. And everybody's looking at her like they have never heard the term meat sweats. I hate when people do stuff like that. Y'all know what she's talking about. Don't make Kristen feel bad about herself. So Miguel asks how everyone is feeling. And they said, well, how are you feeling? You the one that had the little, whatever last week. He said, yes, last week was frustrating. He had some doubts. Kristen thinks that it's a good sign that they have conflict because, there are always people that say that when you argue in a relationship, it shows that you care. When you stop arguing, it shows that neither person really cares about what's going on. So she thinks that it's great that they had this conflict and that they were able to work through it. So Justin points out that when he's in his head, it's hard for him to kind of get out of it. So he said that his mom kind of told him, you've always been like this. And he said, when you hear it from your mom, it hits differently. So Alexis is kind of looking like... And you can tell Alexis feels a way about that because Alexis was kind of on some. It's crazy how I've been telling you this for this amount of all these weeks. Your mama tells you that, and boom, it clicks in your head. She always looks just like disgusted whenever Justin has come to some like realization or he has something profound to say. She never likes it. Stasha, meanwhile, keeps saying she's cold. She's cold. She's rocking. Nate is sitting there with his sweatshirt on, zipped up to the top, like, take off your jacket and give it to your wife. So Alexis jokes and asks, "Oh, you don't have the vibrating panties to keep you warm?" Sasha said, "Oh no, we had to return them. It was broke. Y'all didn't hear it going off through the wall. We couldn't get it to turn off." So Nate said that they need to learn to communicate better. Stasha said, "Well, your lack of communication, relationship experience is irritating to her." I said, "Well, damn." Because I feel like that came out of left field. And I kind of feel like that wasn't the place to do that, but okay. She said it comes down to him not trusting what she says. She said, like, "I'm telling you that, I want to be a fun parent and we can still do things when we have a child. You don't believe me. Your dad says it, and because apparently he has a kid and he has more experience, you just believe him right away." And that's an issue for her. Mitch in his confessional said he thinks that Stasha is just pinpointing why she would say no, but he's shocked that she would even point out that Nate doesn't have as much experience as her since she's just a few years older than him. And I find it so funny how Mitch is so intuitive and profound when it comes to everybody else's relationship, but he can't seem to understand how he's been rude to Kristen. So Mitch said that he's not yet 100% clear what he's going to say. He doesn't think either one of them are. Alexis then asked, "Is it enough time for them to shift their perspective?" Kristen said that if Mitch were to verbalize and say that he wanted to stay married, she would say yes as well. And I feel like Kristen saying that was basically trying to get Nate to say, why do I keep saying Nate? Kristen saying that was basically telling Mitch, "Look, if you say yes, I'll say yes too." Which is kind of like the thirst, the desperation. We don't like it. You want more for yourself, Kristen. Please want more for yourself. Lindy in her confessional said that Mitch is a confused soul, and Kristen deserves better than that, and does. So we get to the final their final dinners before decision day. So Mitch and Kristen, they're together out to dinner. Mitch said that this is the last chance to feel each other out before decision day. He wants them both to be honest during dinner. Kristen said, "Yeah, it's been a wild ride, but but she's happy that they've been matched together." So she wonders what their life will look like if they both said yes. What's next in the future? Mitch said, "Well, we don't need to move too quickly, okay? This has already been accelerated." So he said he would like to take a few days to a week to be just like two people in a relationship. Kristen said, "Look, I don't do well in confusing gray areas, okay? I need clear lines. I need boundaries. I need to understand what's going on and what's happening." Mitch says, well, he's sorry, but, he's just in the gray area right now. And Mitch was effing up his food. And I feel like I hate when they have these serious conversations over food, because especially Mitch and Kristen, just because she'll be like really trying to get into it and talk, and Mitch is doing nothing but like, why does he eat so fast? Mitch was over there just scraping the plate. I was like, I couldn't be out to eat with him. That would drive me crazy. So he said he knows that she wants a declaration of love. He asks if I want to keep going with you. without declaring love if that's going to be good enough. And she said that she's happy to hear that he wants to continue. And for her, that put her in a good enough space to think about what she wants to do. She then said, I'll take every little bit that you give me. And I'm just like, oh, Kristen. I really hope that Kristen has watched back these episodes and she sees how little she settled for. You know what I mean? I really hope that Kristen takes a good look at these episodes and she realizes that you should want more for yourself and you absolutely deserve more for yourself. This was hard to watch Kristen basically beg this man for anything. So he tells her he wants her to know that he's flattered by her. He wishes that he would have played it better at the honeymoon, played a little more cool. She wants him to forgive himself because she don't care no more. You told her that you didn't think she was attractive a couple weeks ago. You want her to stop wearing makeup to be attractive. She's okay with that as long as you maybe sort of somewhat kind of maybe sort of in the future could possibly like her. She's good. And it's like, all right, Kristen. He then tells her that he's afraid to lose her and he doesn't want to. And that just warms her up. Justin and Alexis, they're at dinner. Justin takes her to like a little sunflower garden. His shirt was distracting. Let's move on from that. He said that he took her there because he knows that sunflowers are her favorite flower. Wants her to know that I pay attention. Okay? I listen to you. He said he knows he gets stuck in his head. She said, yeah, it's a challenge for her because she can't get him out of it. He said he didn't realize he was so stuck in his head, but now he sees it after talking to his mom. So in her confessional, she's like, I'm willing to let him, to give him some room to show and prove, but she's also wondering if it's just lip service. Are you just saying this because this is what I want to hear before decision day? Or do you honestly and truly now realize what I'm talking about and you're able to pull yourself out of it? So she says she's proud of him for realizing that. And she knows that while it's partly him, she does know that she does need to create a safer place for him. But she said, you know what? I know what I'm saying, what I need to do. What do you need from me? Justin said, well, look, I know that you want me to be dominant in the bedroom, but I do need you to sometimes initiate intimacy. And she started to be like, I don't want to do that. And I guess I don't understand her hesitancy with that. Because you can initiate sex and then he can still be dominant. You know that, right? You do know that, right? You can get it started and then he can take over. Unless Alexis, but whatever. So Justin tells her that, my mom said that his mom told him that he was not freaky enough. And I was like, So Alexis says she still has her doubts. She's worried about consistency. She said, because this is not best friends at first sight. She said, you know what? They might just be better as friends. And I said, Justin, that is clue number what? 1,769,075. She don't want you. She doesn't. She doesn't. If Justin does not say yes on this, if Justin does not say no on decision day, I'm going to be pissed. So we get to Lindy and Miguel's dinner. So, Miguel said he cannot wait to taste the wine. He said, I heard they even make their own hooch here. Linda said, I've been called a hooch. And he was like, hoochie mama? I said, y'all are... They get on my nerves. So, Miguel said that he's feeling good. They had a tough week. But... They had a tough week, but he is excited about tonight. He admits that he did ruin their last trip to a winery. And I'm like, it was both of y'all. It was both of y'all. More so you, but it was both of y'all. He said that weekend is not who he is or who he wants to be. I said, oh, yes, it is. That is exactly who you are, Miguel. That weekend should have showed Lindy exactly the type of person that you are. That is exactly who you are. Your representative was completely off. That is the type of person you are, Miguel. And we have seen snippets of it, scenes of it creep up ever since then. So Lindy wants to reassess her filtering herself to not hurt him. So she knows that she can't keep keeping in and bottling in everything in. She has to basically finally come out and say, this is what's wrong with me. This is how I'm feeling at that time. He knows that he has not exhibited the strength to hold her accountable and put her in her place. She said, look, I don't need you to manage me, okay? I'm just saying that when you see that I'm low, to pick me up. That's all Lindy is saying. But in Miguel's mind, he feels like he has to manage her moods. He feels like he has to manage her ups and downs. And that's not what she's asking him to do. Miguel is controlling, though. So it's not a matter of that's what Lindy was saying. That's what he was going to do anyways. So he then tells her that her strong personality is overwhelming. He called her theatrical. He said that it takes a lot out of him for him to kind of deal with that. In his confessional, he says that he cannot guarantee being the husband that she needs. He doesn't know if he can be that person day in and day out that has to constantly check her and deal with her going, because that's what she does a lot of times. And everything that has happened so far has him reevaluating what he thought marriage was. I would like to know what Miguel did think marriage was versus what he thinks it is now. I would really like to know. We get to Nate and Stasha's dinner. Stasha asks if there is anything that they need to talk about to solidify his decision anymore. He said, what are your flaws? I was like, what? She was like, I'm pretty sure I've shared them all with you. Like, that's a very tough question to ask. He was like, oh, okay. Okay, cool. So she said, where are we about love? Where we stand with this whole love situation? Because, Stasha wanted him to be at a place of loving her. And while everybody's going to jump down Stasha's back about that, we have to remember that every other episode, Nate is telling her, I'm this close to falling in love with you. I think I'm falling in love with you. I'm very close to falling in love with you. I think I'm falling in love with you. Nate says that to her constantly. So it's not surprising that now she's feeling like, so you're still not in love with me? Because you've been falling and tripping and sliding for the past 8 weeks. So he said, well, it's too early for him. He said he can see himself falling in love. He said, but that comes with time. He doesn't want to force it. He said he wants to be able to walk around naked in front of her, and he's not there yet. I said, yeah, as much as y'all are fucking, as much as y'all do sex toys and stuff, you're not comfortable walking around naked in front of her yet? Oh, Nate, my God. Nate is just making up bullshit at this point because that was stupid. He said that he hopes that she'll be patient. She said, well, I don't know if you'll ever have that feeling. And he said that he's been in love before, in high school. She said, I'm not talking about those relationships. High school relationships don't count. He was like, well, I've had puppy love. She said, we grown. She said, because what concerns her is that you have been in a relationship with somebody for 2 years. Y'all lived together and you were just going through the motions. And I kind of feel like that's what you're doing now. She thinks that if he was in love with her, that his emotions and the stuff that he's doing would come out a little deeper. So he said that he feels like she's saying his affection is not enough, and that's not what she's saying. It's actually not. He feels that he can't please her. He said, and that's a red flag. I said, what? Not you calling her whole existence a red flag. So she's in the confessional and she was like, he does not listen to me, which he doesn't. I will say that. Nate doesn't listen to what she's saying. Nate listens to hear her stop talking so he can keep repeating back what he wants to say. But Nate is definitely not listening to anything that she is saying. So he asks, he asked her, what do you think? How can you think I'm going through the motions and I got this tattoo that's fading? And she was like, it shows your commitment. Yeah. Commitment, love, going through the motions are all three very different things. So Nate kind of feels like he got this tattoo so he wouldn't have to tell her that he loves her. He thought he could coast on the back of this hand tattoo that's fading. So he said that he's being affectionate with her. She said that she wants to feel this burning desire. She wants to see his deep emotions. She is looking for love. He gets mad and walks away from the table, said he's sick of doing this because it's stupid. He don't want to do it no more. So Stasha goes in and, Stasha's outside. He's in his confessional. He said he feels that he doesn't, what does it say? He feels that he doesn't have any more to do to show his emotion or to prove his commitment. So she comes inside because production was like, going inside now. So he tells her, we're going in a cycle. This is kind of like the same thing when it came to a conversation that they had earlier about him being, showing more of his emotions. So he said that he doesn't love her. He's known her for 2 months. She said, I get that. That's fine. He is now hurt because she said that he's going through the motions. He wants to know why she doesn't feel that. She would say, I feel like you like me, yes. But my whole thing is, if Nate wouldn't have been saying, I promise y'all, if Nate wouldn't have been saying for the past month and a half, I'm falling in love with you. 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 Every time they're having this conversation about feelings, she would not be expecting him to now be in love. I think if Nate would have come in and been like, I have very strong feelings for you. Love takes a little bit longer for me, but I can definitely see myself getting there, Stasha would take it a different way. But if you're somebody that keeps saying, I'm falling in love with you, she is going to expect at some time soon for you to be there. But see, that's what happens when you lie. Nate has always just said he's falling in love with her just to placate her during that time instead of being honest about his feelings. So he then said that he's hurt. He then said he's stuck with her, and she was like, no, you're not. And he was like, I'm stuck with you. Now, there are 2 different reasons he said that. One is because she took his last name already, which, okay. And then 2, over on Reddit, people are saying that Stasha has been spotted out, and she looks like she has a baby bump. Y'all know how people be talking just to be talking. But if that is the case, maybe they know that she's pregnant already, and that's why he was like, no, we stuck together. Nonetheless, she was like, no, you're not. Because Stasha said, if I am with child, I don't need your money, because Khadijah don't need you. Okay? So he said that he doesn't want to be married to somebody that he feels like is never going to be satisfied because they're going to always feel like he's not doing enough. He doesn't want to go in circles anymore with her, and he's tired of proving himself, and now he don't care no more. I said, well, damn. See how that wound up with you, Stasha? I don't think this argument was totally her fault. I mean, she didn't help it, but I still go back to, don't say things you don't mean. If you were not truly falling in love with her those times before, and you were just in very deep like with her, you should have never said falling in love with her, because that's what she expected the outcome to be by now. So we get Kristen and Mitch. Kristen wants to know if their last night together, if Luna can stay in the bed with them. Mitch was like, sure, what the hell? Okay, so they have a family meeting in bed. Mitch feels like she has helped him become a better person. He said that it's been very natural and easy for them to be a good team, and he wants her to know that he truly appreciates her. He loves her. He has a lot of love for her, but he's just not necessarily in love with her. And he wants her to know that she's a beautiful person because he knows that she has not always felt that way lately. She was sight in heaven. So she has a lot of love for him too. And they are trying to, and she's still trying to navigate that. Is it, I love you as like friendship love, or if it is a little bit more. And she does want this to work between the two of them. We have Alexis and Justin there in bed. Alexis said, "This feels like 8 months, y'all." She's so ready to be done. Justin said that he has come to terms with either one of her decisions. If she wants to stay together, all right then, girl. If you don't want to stay together, all right then, girl. Like, Justin is like over it at this point because he's tired of going back and forth with her. So Alexis says she still doesn't know what she wants to say. Okay, and she wonders if that means something. She says she feels that she wishes that she was at a place to be like, I love this man, I want to be with this man. Justin was like, me too, but here we are. I think Justin knows that she wants to say no. So Alexis then says that she doesn't know if he had his realization too late. She's, to her, isn't this convenient? Isn't this mighty convenient that, all of a sudden now, after all we've been through, now you suddenly get light bulb, you know exactly what I've been saying all this time. Justin was like, well, damn, it hasn't been bad this entire time. And she was like, no, but this has been the biggest challenge. So for you to suddenly realize that, I will be raising the eyebrow too. So she said now she wants affirmation, and now she wants to know, and she wants everything that they talked about the past 8 weeks. She wants this to work. I said, no, you don't, Alexis. You just saying that. We get Stasha. Stasha is in the bathroom. Well, she's in the closet, and she said that Nate blew up at their romantic dinner. She wonders how many times is he going to do this, because this is not his first time doing it. She said that there are going to be times that she's just going to need some reassurance, and he feels that is so far beyond him to do. Nate does not feel like he needs to be reassuring her on anything. If I tell you that I love you, if I tell you that I care a lot for you and I hug you, that should be enough for you, basically. So they're in bed. She asks him what he enjoys about being married. Nate had to breathe and think about it and dig deep. And then finally he was like, the friendship. Okay. I like the friendship aspect of it. It makes me hopeful. He said a lot of things that they do together are very effortless. He likes her for her, her personality. She said, well, I have tried to be genuine, honest, and very transparent. And she said that she does not have any regrets. He was like, me either. She said, you don't regret spazzing out? And he was like, look, I apologize if I spazzed out on you. And I'm sorry if that's the answer that you want. I was like, wow. If that's how you're apologizing to me, you can have it back. You can have it back. There's nothing worse than somebody saying, if that's what you want, okay, cool, I'm sorry then. So she asks, will this continue? Will these outbursts and you flipping out continue? He said no. She was like, you've said that before, but this is why we are given the tools by the experts. And I'm assuming she means in therapy. So he was like, but I came back an hour later. She was like, yeah, but by then the hurt has already been there. He was like, so now you're throwing it in my face. So she was like, well, the purpose of the tools is to use them when we're in the heat of the moment. And he was like, but I used it when I came back an hour later. I grabbed your hand and you didn't even, acknowledge that I was using it then. He was like, I'm emotional. I'm not going to think about the tools when I'm in the midst of being in an argument with you. That's not gonna happen. So he was like, but see, this is what ties into my insecurities. I told you I need positive reinforcement. That means that you don't acknowledge that I'm trying. That banks on my insecurities. That means that triggers me, and you the trigger. I said, damn, Nate. And she was just looking like, nigga, what? So he said that he does not want to be unhappy. And right now he would rather choose happiness over a marriage. I said, well, watch them end up staying together. But I would not be surprised if they did not. I wouldn't be surprised either way with them, to be honest. Miguel and Lindy. Miguel is leaving. Lindy says she is mentally prepared for whatever decision he may have. And I think that's because Lindy done got her insurance. She went to the doctor, got all her tests run, done got all her ailments, taken care of. So now she's good for the next couple years in her eyes. So Miguel said they need to get to a place where they see it for what it is. He doesn't think he's controlling her when he's just voicing an opinion. She said, well, there are different ways to be controlled. Controlling isn't being like, sit here, do that. That's not the only way that control can come out. She said, controlling can also be you saying, if you're going to continue acting like this, I'm going to do this, which is true. Miguel was like, well, I didn't know. I didn't know that was controlling. I didn't know. And it's like, Miguel is so full of shit. Miguel's full of shit. He said that he is happy to help her in any way that he can. She said, well, look, I don't want you to be my counselor. You're my husband. He said, but I am your husband. So, I'm happy to help you. And I think he's missing what she's trying to say. So she said that it's not only her that has things to work on. So you're not going to be my counselor and I'm going to come to you with every issue. She said, because this is a two-way street. We both have things we need to work on. So he never really wants to take accountability for that. He's just like, I don't think I'm being controlling. She was like, yeah, and I don't think that I'm being dramatic or whatever, or disrespectful when I'm just, being myself either. And when she flipped it back on him, he didn't have anything to say. So we get Kristen and Mitch. Kristen says she's nervous for tomorrow, which is decision day. She needs the alone time because she wants to think about what she's going to say. She's looking at the pros and cons of the past 8 weeks. Mitch asks her, how does she see past decision day? She said, well, you want to stay separate, right? He was like, no. He said that he wants to work towards them getting a new shared location. I think what Mitch is saying is, let's not just right away jump and go look for an apartment the next day. Mitch wants them to behave as in a relationship, but not necessarily married. So it might be, we're still in a relationship together. Sometimes I'm at your house, because she ain't going to your house. So it's going to be Mitch coming over by your house. But he doesn't want them to be estranged. So she was like, oh, I'm glad I had that conversation. Because that's not what I thought you were saying at all. So and then they go through the same conversation they have been having forever. We get a montage of all the husbands leaving. Everybody kisses. We do not see Nate kissed Stasha on the way out. I feel like that's very telling. We then see Stasha slide down the door and basically start crying. And it's like, girl, what are you crying for? What happened? What are you crying for? So we get everybody's last words. So Stasha is confused and not feeling as optimistic as she once was. Nate said the last week was the hardest week of the past 8 weeks. He's feeling a lot of anxiety, but he does respect her as a person. Kristen thinks that Mitch is unsure, so that makes her nervous. Mitch is mostly at peace with his decision. He said, I'm bump what Kristen telling y'all. I know what I'm going to say. He said that he wonders if he is so closed off to love and that's why things are not working, or has he not found the right person? Is it me or is it not? Alexis said that this is the biggest decision of her life and she still has a lot of what ifs that she has not come to grips with. Justin said that it's not where he wants to be in his marriage, but he's just ready to get it over with. I said, oh, get what over with, the marriage or decision day? Lindy says she thinks her and Miguel are on the same page. I said, I bet y'all not. Miguel said that it's been challenging and it takes two to make this work, but let the cards fall where they may. So let me know what you guys thought about tonight's episode. Drop down below what your theories are for next week. What are your predictions for decision day? Who do you think will stay married? Who do you think will get a divorce? If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, share it, and I will catch you guys next week for decision day. Peace.